It's the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Yes, that's Los Angeles, soon to have two teams. The owners are meeting, and oh my gosh, we might get the Raiders, we might get the Chargers. I say we, but I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. That's why this show is called the Unhappy Hour, because I'm an Indians, Cavs, and Browns fan who has never celebrated a single championship in my entire 36 years of existence from the city that I grew up closest to, the largest major metropolitan area to which I associated and affiliated with. Yes, that's why it's called the Unhappy Hour, but thank you for joining us. It's a certain type of fraternity here where if you don't know the misery, well, if you don't know, then you know. Now you know. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to explain it to you, because I really don't want to hear any other cities complain about their one team. Oh, the Chicago Cubs have not won a championship in X amount of years. Shut up. You had Walter Payton, you had Michael Jordan, you had the Blackhawks. Enough, Chicago. I get it. You have one bad team. Boo-hoo for you. But anyway, thanks for joining us on the TNAM Radio Network. I'm Brian Engelman. Thank you. I want you to connect with us on all of the platforms that we are on. And those would be youtube.com/The New American Media. Check out the homepage of thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, three things. TNAM Radio, that's where you click play to listen live. Underneath that is our Twitter feed. We're at American_media_. And under that is our Facebook feed. Click it and sign up and like us and follow us and subscribe to us and scope us and all those things and Instagram us and blah, blah, blah. Snapchat. Yeah, we have all these things. How much of them can we use? I don't know. It's like there's a new platform coming out every week, but we're trying. And we're ramping things up in 2016. So thank you very much for being a part of it. It's been, I was telling our guest today, Shawn, criminology professor and fledgling blogger. I was telling him in pre-production that it's been a crazy week so far. Had Larry Elder on last week, great-granddaughter of Dwight Eisenhower, President Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower was our guest yesterday, cosmic mythologist, tarot reader, investigative. Just check it out. She's interesting. It's always an interesting show when she's on, of course, today. And then tomorrow we're going to have Ford Fisher with News to Share and Solutions Institute. He is at the State of the Union. He's going to be providing a report on that. He's our guest tomorrow. Coming up on Thursday, Adam Kokesh. I cannot even waste my time, my brief limited time here describing who Adam is. Just type it in on YouTube and enjoy. It's very interesting. It's very clever. It's very thought-provoking, the stuff that Adam puts together. He's a massive lover of freedom, as is the title of his book, Freedom, that he gave to me to read so I can learn things and be smart. And then, of course, on Friday, Gerald Celente from Trends Research Journal. Man, oh man, I've been listening to him, checking out his videos for years. I'm so excited to try to get a feel for what trends we should expect in this election year, what to look forward to in the stock market, and all the other geopolitical wonderful things that he brings to the table. Now, we're going to do a very brief show. Yes,
it us two losers.
It is, Blake. Let's welcome loser number one. I feel like this is a bad game show or something on Spike.
Yep.
And loser number one.
Big guest after big guest. And then we got these. Yeah, all right.
And the rest.
Push through this Tuesday.
Hey, guys.
All right.
Hi, guys. How you doing? No, this is Blake the eccentric Walley. Blake is ready to go embark upon a cross-country tour. You may have heard his program, Eccentric Perspective. It was on the Freedomizer Radio Network. He is relaunching, rebooting, reloading, and pretty much hitting the road now, going to cover basically anything that pops off in America, going to cover the elections, and who knows where this year is going to take him. But Blake just published an article today. Is it time to jump on the Trump bandwagon? And we'll embed that at thenewamericanmedia.com in the opinion page. But Blake, welcome back to the show. Tell everybody the best ways to stay in touch with you other than Twitter, which is at eccentric99.
Best way so far would just be my website, eccentricperspective.com.
Gotcha.
And more to come.
More to come. And also, welcome into the program, Shawn, trusted criminology professor, fledgling blogger, ham sandwich connoisseur.
Loser number two.
Nope. Nope.
Yeah, I need the kazoo. No, but welcome, Shawn. Blake speaks very highly of you. You guys have known each other for a very long time, and you're also another lover of liberty and freedom, and someone who may or may not also be the sports fan.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, hey, let's talk about it. Like I said in the intro, the Minnesota Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals went full Browns. Never go full Browns. It was just unbelievable the way that these games were lost. You guys, Blake. Let's start with Blake. Let's start with Shawn on this one. The Minnesota Vikings really laces out. It was that Dan Marino moment. From Ace Ventura. Well, what did you make of the end of that game? Did you kind of feel like that was coming?
I didn't feel it was coming. But it is full meltdown up here now, and it's just wonderful to watch. I'm a huge Vikings fan, obviously. Grow up watching them, but at the same time, it is fun to watch people just completely lose their minds over something as meaningless as a football game. But when it went wide left, he didn't even give himself a chance at it. It was left the whole way, and you could not make it up.
Yeah, it was a rough one. And the replay showing laces out, you went, well, hey, if a kicker's ever had an out to say, hey, man, I've done this 1,000 times at this range. Look what that guy did. I'd say that holder is in trouble. Blake, what do you make of it? I guess maybe you're not in meltdown mode either. You have a bit of a different take on it, more of an optimistic one, at least a day or two ago when I talked with you about it originally.
Right, yeah, I listened to, I think Chris Collinsworth mentioned that a few times. Like every single kick there was something noteworthy. For the first three, he was lights out, but I guess that's one of his issues that on those short kicks he kind of drills it. That's just the way he does when you just really need to just kind of pop it up there. So, yeah, he put too much sauce on it, but no, I was over it right away. Now, Shawn is up in Minnesota, so he's kind of in there, and we're right on the border of, Wisconsin. So we went to school in Wisconsin, so we have a lot of friends there, and I'm sure Shawn has a lot of coworkers and a lot of other people there. So there's a lot of, Packers, Vikings rivalry right on the border there. I'm isolated out here in Vegas, so I don't have to deal with getting any crap from the Packer fans, I guess. So it's a little easier for me, and my expectations were pretty tempered. I really thought they had a great season. I'm not upset about it at all. It would have been nice to win that game, but I think the Vikings did exactly what I thought they would do and more this year. I was kind of thinking 9-7, maybe make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game, and I was happy with that. My eyes are on 2016. I think we're going to make some improvements, upgrade the offensive line, fill in a couple of holes, and next year I expect them to actually win. So if they do blow a bad field goal, then I will be devastated. But this time, I just let it go. Boom. I was over it in about 5 seconds.
Blake and I had talked when we were in school there that we should annex the western half of Wisconsin anyway, considering they take our radio and television and newspapers and all the rest of it. So to have coworkers of mine who cross over the border, of course, to get good jobs in Minnesota, as opposed to working on the farm in Wisconsin, their smug looks on Monday after the Packers, of course, won to dismantle the Redskins, and Aaron Rodgers actually looked like Aaron Rodgers. Their smug looks walking around was tough to watch. They were very, very happy and very proud of themselves.
Yeah, the pride cometh before the fall, I suppose, and that's the nature of sports. It's like you're getting punched in the gut when you lose, and it's like you're literally invincible when you win, and it's part of the allure to be a fan because then you associate with it and you triumph with the triumphs, or you are a Cleveland fan. But anyway,
you take it hard though.
I do take it hard. I'm a big sports fan.
I think the Viking fans, not all of us, but I think a lot of us just expect, to be disappointed. So we're set up for that. We don't let it, get to us, or maybe not. I don't know. I can't speak for you, Shawn, or maybe you can speak on that. But,
sure. No, you can speak for me. It doesn't. I've expected it. When they were 11-5, it was like that felt like a miracle. But I guess if you contrast that with what the Bengals did, it's at least the Vikings lost because of football plays type of thing, like, you missed a field goal, or you couldn't.
Josh Robinson was in there because your cornerbacks got hurt and he got burned in the end zone, or Captain Munnerlin forgot to contain.
Yes.
What's his name? The quarterback. I forgot. Russell Wilson. Just a few plays. Yeah, just a few little mistakes. That's pretty much was the undoing. But it was a really good game, and I'm proud of the Vikings season, regardless of how it ended like that.
Well, another Ohio team went through just one of the most bizarre endings you're ever going to see in sports. The cocky Bengals, and I can say I had the pleasure once of going to a Cleveland Browns Cincinnati Bengals game on the day that we eliminated, I believe it was the last regular season game of the year, and the Cleveland Browns, the lowly Cleveland Browns, eliminated the Cincinnati Bengals from playoff contention in their home stadium. It was beautiful. It was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what, man, it got really heated at the end of that game against the Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger got injured, and fans were throwing things at the injured Roethlisberger, who was being carted off the field. That's a little not cool. Then on the field, the Bengals took over on an interception. The game was pretty much done. Just a couple of ticks on the clock, maybe a minute and a half or something like that. And the players were so cocky on the interception, ran through the end zone and ran out of the stadium, just like, it's over, it's over. First play with the ball, they fumble it. Steelers get it. Steelers go down. They're still a little too far away from the field goal that would win them the game, except there's a penalty, and then there's another penalty, basically 30 yards. 30 yards in penalties on the same non-play from the same stupid non-football stuff. Steelers get away with everything, with their coach on the field and another guy pulling the hair of another Bengals guy. It was ridiculous, and they gift-wrapped him a win. Shawn, what was your take on that Bengals-Steelers game?
I was on phone with a good friend of mine that I went to graduate school with, actually at Bowling Green State University. So he's a professor at Miami of Ohio. He and I were on the phone during the game. He's about an hour from Cincinnati. And we were just dumbfounded. We said, not only did Burfict make this horrible tackle, it was so obvious that he was headhunting with that shoulder. I mean, it could not have been more clear to everybody. And then for him to act, I can't believe this happened. And then big shocker that Pac-Man Jones somehow couldn't keep his cool. The guy is just constantly in trouble. He's been in trouble his whole career. And the fact that and then to take to Instagram afterwards and start calling out coaches from the other team and things like that. It was just too sweet to watch. And I don't even mind the Bengals that much, to be honest with you. But boy, it was quite a scene. I was dumbfounded.
Yeah, it was like a WWE event.
It was
the way it was coming down. The one thing I would say though, the former Buckeyes player and current Pittsburgh Steeler Ryan Shazier absolutely laid out the Bengals running back a couple of plays before this all went down, and it wasn't called, and that was twice, if not three times, worse a hit than Burfict put on Brown.
That is true.
And then Pac-Man Jones was saying he wasn't hurt. He looked up and he winked at us. And who knows what's true, what's not. Long story short, they found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Blake, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think I needed a shower after that game. It was it got really ugly at the end. Yeah, and those are two guys that are notorious for character issues. I was listening to some analysis. I think it was from Rodney Harrison. I'm not 100% that Burfict was supposedly a potential first round caliber player who slipped because of character issues, and we all know Pac-Man Jones has had his history, and I guess Marvin Lewis kind of has a history of getting some of these troubled players, and I remember Ocho Cinco, and yeah, it's good to give these guys a second chance, but you got to keep them under control, and that's too bad. I can't even blame Marvin Lewis. I felt bad for the Bengals not being there with Andy Dalton. I was hoping they would go farther than that. It did not need to end like that, and they have a lot of work to do in the off season. They got to change quite a few things around. It's not looking good in Cincy.
Well, don't forget the Cleveland Browns have Josh Gordon, who has had multiple suspensions throughout college.
For minor stuff.
Bouncing her. Well, yes, the same minor stuff. The same minor stuff that he's been. been getting punished for over and over and over and over again. Multiple colleges, multiple times in the NFL. He didn't play a single snap in the NFL last year. And who's going to throw him the ball next year? Who knows what we do with Mr. Johnny Manziel and all of his problems. So, I mean, trust me, if we're talking character issues, it's not like the pot can call the kettle too black on that one. And as a Buckeye fan, knowing that there are a couple players, Joey Bosa got ejected for targeting, and
that was weak. That was terrible.
It was bad.
Saw that play.
That
wasn't nothing. I mean,
it was
in
miserable.
the NFL, that was nothing. I guess college is a lot more strict, but that was ridiculous that they would kick a player of that caliber out of the game for something that weak.
I'll give you that, but we also had our stud defensive lineman busted for prostitution or solicitation the same week. So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and say that they got to run a charity organization and that they slipped up and said damn in church one time. I'm not going to do that, but hey, such is the drama, and that's one of the 35,000 reasons why we do watch sports. Did you happen to catch the Bama game, Shawn, yesterday?
Did.
I've never seen a better onside kick in my lifetime, and that's basically what won him the game.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I was rooting for Clemson just because, first time champion, things like that. But, and we've been lucky. There's been some great college championships the last, 5-10 years. There have been several good ones, and this one just did not disappoint.
Yeah. Blake, did you happen to catch that? And were you pulling more for Clemson or for Bama?
Well, I taped it. I don't have a history of being a big college fan. I did tape it. I watched the first quarter, and then I got on the computer a while later, and after I let the tape roll for quite a while, and then I see breaking news on Yahoo, and then it says Alabama 145-40. And I was like, damn, I didn't get to watch that. So I haven't seen a lot of the plays or anything. I do know that I wanted Clemson to win, and for the same reason that Shawn says. I know Alabama's got a ton of championships. Nick Saban's won enough. Let somebody else have it. I was hoping to get some, fresh team in there. I guess that's the only opinion that I have on it because I don't know enough.
Yeah, I'll say it was the two plays. It was the return for a touchdown. What was it, 100 yards or 90-something yards? And that onside kick. That onside kick, it felt more like a pass. It felt more like a swing pass to a running back coming out of the backfield than it was one of those erratic, smash it into the ground and see where it bounces and see where it bounces again. And it's just this melee where it's like a rugby scrum. This was beautiful. It was just kicked perfect, and it was like a pass. It just lofted right into his hands. It was seriously one of the best onside kicks I've ever seen. I'm no Alabama fan, but it was. It really sucked. I tried not to watch it because I knew Ohio State, defending champion, with one loss. Looking at some of these other teams and their one loss, it's like, who do we lose to? A top 5 team in Michigan State. It was in the rain, and it took them a last-second, actually it was a walk-off field goal, no time remaining, to barely squeak out a weird win in terrible weather conditions against us, who had been preseason number one reigning champions. And I just thought our one loss, while we might not have had a signature win, I don't know how you leave the champion out of it and actually say, well, we got this right with the top 4 teams. I don't think they got it right. I feel like the Buckeyes, yes, it would have been great to be Big Ten champion. It would have been great to have a super huge signature win. The win against Michigan was a pretty solid win, though. Michigan blasted in their bowl game, and they had a very good, if not quasi great year, and we beat them soundly when we were priming up for the playoffs, and we got left out of it. So for me, it was pretty hard to watch this, just knowing, we beat Alabama last year. We could have absolutely beat them again this year. We just weren't firing on all cylinders. It wasn't our year. So I tried not to pay attention, and I'll tell you what, the second half, it sucked me in. And there was so many good back and forth plays and such good action. I actually really found myself enjoying it. Of course, I was pulling for Clemson, the underdog, and I got no satisfaction there. Let's do this because we're going to, keep this show short and keep things moving around because we're, kind of recapping things that have already happened anyway. We want to swing over to the State of the Union and check that out as close to live as possible. possible, because live tweeting all of the fallacies and logic is certainly a fun thing to do, and I like to participate in that. I don't like being like Blake, where you get that breaking news, here's the quote of the night, and you go, oh man, I wanted to see that. So anyway, we'll wrap it up on this. Chargers and Raiders may be coming back to Los Angeles. You think that's good for the league, or do you think that this proposal needs to be tabled a little bit longer? We'll start with you, Shawn.
I think it's good. I mean, it's the second biggest market in the country, and to not have a team. I don't know. It could be one of three teams still, or is St. Louis out of it now?
Some owners are meeting. They're having their annual meeting, and some vote came back that the proposal that would bring the Chargers and Raiders in is the one that they prefer. It means something, but we're far from actually locking things in here, is my understanding. It's getting close, and they want to get this done. It's been in the works for years, but we're not quite at the decision phase yet. What about you, Blake? What are your thoughts on it?
I would not want to see the Chargers move. I mean, I don't know if that just doesn't seem right. That doesn't sit right with me at all. It's a historical team. You got to keep them in San Diego, in my opinion. The Raiders have obviously been in L.A., and so have the Rams, so there's some history there. They've already got two teams in the Bay Area. I haven't really studied it enough, but I guess I would just assume you could move the Raiders to L.A., because then what are you going to do with St. Louis? Are they going to be – someone's going to have to come there at some point, because that's a pretty big market too. And it's sad to see the Rams already fall apart. Not that it's that exciting anymore. They had a great run with Kurt Warner and Marshall Falk and Isaac Bruce. And
the greatest show on turf. The greatest show on turf. Yep.
Now, they might be out to L.A. Even though I think they've got a bright future with Gurley and the coach Jeff Fisher. I don't know. I think that would be a weird move, but like I said, I haven't really dug into it much. But I mean, if you ask me, I'd say move the Raiders back to L.A. and leave everything else as it is.
Well, the idea of having two teams sharing the same state-of-the-art stadium, not trying to cram, a football team into the baseball stadium, and it's like, oh, he's at the 30. Oh, he trips over second base. No, this again. What a horrible thing to happen on Dozen Egg Night. From basketball. But anyway, it makes a lot of sense if you have a major metropolitan area like a Los Angeles and you have a state-of-the-art facility like that. It makes a lot of sense to do two teams that can, maybe their fan bases can support two teams, and that way every other week you have a home game. So this thing is always rocking every single week. Now the people impacted by the traffic, that's going to be something different, because if there aren't significant upgrades made, it's really going to put a strain and a stranglehold on traffic, because it's so bad out here. I can't even put it into words. But I'll leave it on this, and then we'll switch gears and cover the news of the day that are breaking and happening, kind of bounce around, do a top story extravaganza. My final point would be that if I trace the lineage of the Rams back far enough, they originated, I believe, in the 30s in Cleveland as the Cleveland Rams. So if I were there might be a little technicality where I could root for the Rams if they came back. I basically don't like seeing any city lose their team. I can say that being a Browns fan, watching them go to Baltimore. I don't want to see that. But it's a unique situation where the Rams came from L.A., and the Chargers came from L.A., and San Diego's basically L.A.'s market.
Sorry, hold on. The Chargers were originally in L.A. before San Diego?
I didn't say that. Did I? Sean, did I say that?
That's not what I heard.
But did they, though? Sorry. Because this is a question.
I don't recall. Boy.
Hang on. If only we had a device that could access all the world's information instantaneously.
Right? While you're looking that up, let me ask you this. If Oakland and San Diego both go there, they're both in the same division. Is that still the plan then? So they could end up playing on Monday Night Football in the ssame stadium, in their own state. You see what I mean? It just seems odd that they would move two teams from the same division to the same city.
I don't know that I've gone that far back. Wait, let me see here.
I found it. It's they played 1 year. Their first year was in
59?
In L.A. in 1960, and then they moved to San Diego in 1961.
So they are from Los Angeles.
Not a.
There we go. I got it here.
Yeah, you're right. You are right, but it is just a 1 year.
Yeah, that's like being born at Podunk Hospital, and then you go, you become, I don't know, whatever, and then you gotta. Hey, we could make a Kenya joke. Anyone want to make a Kenya joke about that one? Come on, it's State of the Union. It's our last chance. Yeah, it says here, the club began to play in 1960 as a charter member of the American Football League and spent its first season in Los Angeles, California before moving to San Diego in 61. By the way, I was at Qualcomm Stadium for a Charger-Browns game. I'll tell you what, I went there this year, a few months ago.
I know.
Shut up. You know how it worked out. I threw my custom jersey into the trash before it was fished out. Yeah, I was so tired of the losing. But anyway,
you guys almost had it. There's like
I know.
You guys had the classic Browns.
We went full Browns. Never go full Browns.
I do have to say, I got to go to a Browns game when I lived in Ohio, and because I had that same friend I was talking about before, he was friends with a Philadelphia Eagles player. They grew up together, so he got us tickets when they came to town. The Browns fans are awesome. I'll give you credit for that. I mean, they are diehard, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good environment. They were really good to us, even though we were in Eagles gear because of the friendship with the player from the other team. But so I do feel bad for you guys with the long suffering, because it is a very good fan base. Yeah,
it's very special. It's very few people understand the amount of misery we've gone through. It's truly unique. What is Mike Polk Jr.? He's a comedian. He says something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing, but I get it pretty close. He goes, "It is statistically more unlikely that you can be this consistently bad than it would be for you to accidentally occasionally be good. The probability is staggering." And it's the truth. It makes no sense how the Cleveland Indians of the 90s couldn't get a title. How the Browns kept running into John Elway in a drive and the fumble, and then the team's taken away, and Belichick wins. Our coach, when it's taken away, he's winning with the Patriots. And then when the team's taken to Baltimore, they win multiple championships. Two of them. They've won two of them. We've got, it just goes down the line. How did the Cavs not put something together with LeBron the first time? And now that we have him back, is it going to be like Jenny at the end of Forrest Gump? Yeah, they get back together, but you just can't help but think of the worst as a Cleveland sports fan, and I don't know. I went to the Chargers game and I just said, wow, that is the home of the world's smallest Jumbotron. I'm going to call it the Minitron. Like, their replay, they've known they've been coming to LA for a long time. They have not upgraded that stadium. I was pretty impressed with how crappy it was. And when I looked at, when I squinted and pulled out my binoculars to see their Jumbotron off in the distance, I think it was 2 counties over, I kind of knew right there, like, they are not making long-term plans at this place. But, I hate...
what's up with that? This is Qualcomm. Aren't they? They're a global semiconductor company that markets wireless telecommunication. You would think they'd have something to do with, like, cutting-edge technology. Maybe they want to have some kind of cool Jumbotron that would showcase, what they do as a company. Apparently that's not the case.
I've gone to a lot of these music conventions, and we got another one coming up, and we'll get you some good videos when we come back. But been to some of these things, and they all have like their dinners. They'll have like Gibson. I saw Ted Nugent performing live at the Gibson Custom Shop in Nashville, Tennessee. I saw Seven Dust perform upstairs at a cigar bar acoustic. These wacky concerts and weird scenarios. I saw Heart performing a couple years ago in front of a room with 300 people. But anyway, I went to one of these, and it was sponsored by one of these big speaker and music instrument affiliations, these companies, a lot of different musical stuff, and they're running all the PA stuff, and the PA was garbled, it was crackly, it was quiet, there was feedback, and I'm just going, you gotta be kidding me, just like your Qualcomm thing, like, seriously, that's the best you can do? It was pretty embarrassing, and I won't name their name because the food and drinks were delicious. But I digress. Okay, so let's do this. That's
because they're losing a lot of money, so I guess they probably can't afford it.
Yeah.
They still have the rights to the stadium, but all right. Well, I guess that explains something.
Well, Anyway, talking about losing your rights to things because you're losing money and worried about spending too much money. Look at the United States. We're in a lot of trouble with the amount of money that's owed in unfunded liabilities, plus how much we're running behind every year and how much that credit card tab is growing. It's doubled under this guy. Barack Obama is set to give his State of the Union address, and we want to get to that as quickly as possible. So we're going to make a hard pivot here, and we're going to wrap up the Unhappy Hour. Special guest today is Shawn, criminology professor and fledgling blogger, and of course Blake the eccentric Walley. I'm Brian Engelman. We're going to hit reset, and we're going to go over to what?
Breaking news, right off the wire, going back to Cali, the Rams return to Los Angeles and may be joined by the Chargers as the league owners voted on relocation. Hot off the wire 1 minute ago.
Going back to Cali, Rams return to Los Angeles. Blake, that's about the only thing you could have done to wrap up my beautiful outro there. I mean, I had it all. I mean, it was like I was folding the Christmas present perfect. The tape was in the right place. I had my little name tag, and I'm ready to set the bow down, and you come tearing in. You dive on the package like it's like your Secret Service, and that's a suspicious item thrown toward me. And you say, no, and you rip it apart. I'm going, dude, come on, I just wrapped this. Oh, that was a hand grenade. Thanks, man. Rams headed back to Los Angeles. Chargers have an option to join. The St. Louis Rams are headed to Inglewood, California, the result of a vote made by the NFL's owners on Tuesday. The Chargers may also join the Rams, but have until January 16, 2017. That's a year. To agree to lease terms with the Rams, according to sources. If the Chargers decline, they're not going to decline. Oh, but if they decline, the Oakland Raiders, another former LA tenant, can link up with the Rams, sources said. The Rams will play in Los Angeles in the 2016 season. I can root for the Rams! Wait a minute, this just happened. Because I don't want to... Anyway, that's interesting. But will not be moved in their new Inglewood home until the 2019 season. So where are they going to play? They're going to Carson... Okay, Chargers-Raiders, that would have put them in a stadium in Carson, California, was the other proposal that was being considered. Both the Chargers and Raiders get an extra $100 million for stadiums to permanently stay in their current markets. The vote was passed 30-2, but only needed the approval of 24 of the league's 32 owners. Former Rams running back Eric Dickerson took to Twitter to celebrate the franchise's return to Los Angeles. Actually, let me tweet this out. Oh, I got to log in because I had to reset my system here. It says, "Welcome home, LA Rams 2016. Earlier in the day, the NFL's six-owner committee on LA opportunities earlier recommended the Chargers-Raiders project, which would have built a $1.7 billion stadium in Carson. Rams owner what's his name? Stan Kroenke? Am I saying that right? I should probably... Kroenke had proposed to build a $1.86 billion stadium in Inglewood. Blah, 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 blah. Inglewood project. Disney CEO Bob Iger is included as a consultant to the group. Disney is the parent company of ESPN, who's publishing this article. So there you go. 32 teams were represented. Tennessee Titans owner was the only owner not at the meetings in Houston, although I heard a report that neither was Jimmy Haslam of the Browns. All right, breaking! I guess that's kind of perfect, yo. I think we have a new title for today's program. Rams headed back to Los Angeles. Look, we went through that whole episode not knowing what it was going to be titled, and then synchronicity happens. Isn't it a beautiful thing, Shawn?
That's wonderful. It's almost like we planned it that way.
What if we are planning this, but we got flashy thinged and we don't remember that we already planned this? Ooh, Blake?
Now we're talking.
Oh, like the Matrix, like we've already made the decision, or we've already made the choice, and now we have to figure out why, or something like that?
Yeah, man. It's a choose-your-own adventure, but we wrote the book. And then we got flashy thinged like Men in Black, and then you're like, oh, it's almost like we planned it, or did we plan it? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I love when Peter does that.
On Family Guy.
On Family. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, okay, moving on. Rams are headed back to L.A., developing story. I don't know. I just from skimming this, I don't know. Maybe they're going to play at USC at the Coliseum. Actually, that would be interesting. I would probably go to that. I would probably go check one of those out. Anyway, Interesting day, interesting life. We'll be back on the other side because we're going to get to some of the news of the day, the State of the Union. Donald Trump, is it time to jump on his bandwagon? Iran is holding 2 boats and holding Americans. They say they're going to give them back just in a moment, but that means they're currently being held captive. Kim Davis, you remember her? She's at the State of the Union today. Common Core. Ooh, did you see this video that just popped out? Bernie Sanders passes Hillary in Iowa. Carly and Rand are booted. We're going to talk about this on the other side. I'm Brian Engelman, and this is the New American Media. This was the Unhappy Hour, and this is now
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.